something that we recognize that some kids have been away or abroad for too long, and therefore when they come to secondary one, it's the first time they are exposed to Chinese, so we make concessions with them. Alright. Okay, so science. Alright, so going on to Sec 3 and 4, so the balancing of subjects. Just to give you a context as to what international schools here in Hong Kong do if they offer the IGCSE. They will require English, Chinese, World Lit, compulsory, math is compulsory, and they like to offer triple science. For some reason, there's this fixation among Hong Kongers about offering biology, physics, and chemistry. Okay, our philosophy is a bit different. We say that at least one, most students will offer two. We're not going to force it to do three. Alright, but we insist another humanities subjects. That means on top of World Lit, you must do either history, geography, or global perspectives. Yes.
On the prior slide, you said there are no easier tracks. Back to your introduction, you said that there's no stream. You have to, every student is accepted. So how do you meet the needs of a range of students when there is no easier track?
We have been lucky so far. Although it's no easier track, the students we have got so far are pretty, they are not that wide in the subject. There's still room for teacher to differentiation within the classroom of 25. Alright. Going forward, we do see a great proportion of students with special needs and learning needs whom we have to admit because they're Singaporeans. That presents a challenge. We were talking about whether there's a need for them to do English as a second language, to draw them out of classes. Currently, we have not done that yet, at least in the secondary level. In the primary school, they are drawn out from the classes, okay, but the same examinations apply to them. So the teaching will be different, but the same expectations for exams, right, which we have at the end of each year, applies to these children as well.
How many are identified as special needs? Do you have a number?
In secondary one this year, probably I think 10, about close to 100, 10%. Okay. Either special needs or ESL, right? We lump them as students who can't really cope well with the curriculum. Yes.
Just for clarity, can somebody explain to me what streaming is and what?
Sorry. Yeah, allow
streaming, and there's another term. No easier track. What are those things?
Streaming refers to, at least in Singapore, for example, national exams. Then, based on the performance of the exam, you go to different tracks. Alright, here we have exams, but the exam does not determine which track at all because there's no track except for Chinese.
Would that be analogous to what we call placement?
Well, it's placement, or the way I interpret streaming is what I might call tracking.
Tracking.
No,
I think the term I would use is tracking because it's based on, it's a little more, it's based on a national exam as opposed to sort of individual decision at the school.
Okay, let me just introduce Ms. Xiao Chu Wei, our Dean of Secondary first. Alright, so you want to introduce a bit about yourself? What are you doing now for PhD?
Oh,
PhD.
so I'm doing my PhD now in this Hong Kong, University of Hong Kong, and doing on Chinese linguistics, students' language development. Yeah. Welcome to SIS.
Okay, coming back to the question about the British curriculum, they sometimes apply what they call sets. So depending on how you perform in school exams, for mathematics particularly, you are placed in the top set or a regular set. So a student in the top set would offer a totally different curriculum in math compared to a student in the regular set. Alright, I hear that applied to math here in Hong Kong. I haven't heard that applied to other subjects. Okay, so we talk about track. I think that's what it means here in the British context. Okay. But O-level, A-level is actually analogous to IGCSE and IB. A-level is just prior to university. Right, so now I think the interesting part is this. I think that stands us out from other centers in Hong Kong. We do not take the easy way out. We say that if a child can cope, it's not if a child has come through us in primary section, they should be able to speak some Chinese, they should offer first language Chinese. Alright? So unlike other international schools where a lot of students will offer Mandarin Chinese, which is the easiest subject, we insist that all children must go through first language Chinese. They can take the easier exam in secondary 3, but come secondary 4, they must do the tougher one. Alright? I think that's an insistence on us as our philosophy is the child must stretch himself or herself according to his or her ability. No easy way out, at least for Chinese. Alright? Same applies to additional math. And These two subjects we also see as useful when they go into IB. So again, that backward planning. Okay, whatever that's useful for the child, for the end point which to us is IB, we will insist on that even in the secondary years prior to that. Okay. So compared to other international schools here, I think most international schools, about 20 to 30%, only the top set will do additional math, but here it's close to, I think, three big classes, one really small class doing non-additional. Okay. So in Sec 3 and 4, we go beyond IGCSE, our endpoint we see as IB. So in terms of assessments are a bit more varied than what you see in IGCSE. The IGCSE exams tend to be a lot of pen and paper. Okay, only when it comes to world literature do you have an oral component. But here in quite a few subjects we have either reports, projects, presentations in the subjects. Right, so IB, this is the suite of subjects we have. We have not, okay, I'm not sure it's fair to say this, but we see the subjects as pretty demanding, except possibly for ITGS, Information Technology and Global Society. We think that is a more accessible course for students. But apart from that, the other subjects we offer are pretty demanding. So we do not do things, for example, like psychology, which is very popular among students, but which we have not offered at this point in time. We have not offered environmental systems and societies, which is a pretty easy strand of science subject, which we haven't offered yet. We might offer in the long term, but when the school first started out for the first 2 cohorts, we say let's offer the subjects that will help them to enter university. A lot of our kids here would like to pursue either medicine or engineering. They may not make it to the universities, all right, but at least we give them a chance to offer the subjects that will help them to apply, all right. So our consideration again is what the student wants to do, and as a result, some of them do offer pretty demanding combinations of IB subjects. Okay, which looking back, you might game the system by offering an easier combination, but we have not gone down that route yet. All right. We do have more group 3. We have 4 group 3 currently. All right. Subject compared to other schools in Hong Kong. And math. Again, we do offer the easiest strand of math in IB, which is called math studies. Right? That's always open, but no students want to take part. And I think here I think it's either peer pressure or family pressure. The kids feel that if I can get even some modicum of a pass in standard level math, I'm not going to do math studies, even though that's going to help me get a higher grade. Okay, so there's this pressure or this expectation on the part of the children that forces them to do certain subjects that are quite, I would say, challenging compared to what their abilities may allow. Alright. Okay. The portion of students offering higher math is higher compared to other international schools here. Yes.
Yes. You've mentioned the word easier strain a lot.
Yeah.
What is that? How do you define that? Because versus a hard strain, like what is the difference between something hard and easy?
It's a lot of value judgment, isn't it? Absolutely. And it's based on what we see of the kids and hear from them regarding the time they spend. How I see it in this school, it may differ from other schools, is that the kids see that they spend a lot of time on art, for instance. Art is one subject they try to steer away from in IGCSE, or they want to drop out of it. First language Chinese is another subject, okay, because that they want to steer away from and drop. So
stay away from because it's hard, or
they find it's time consuming. I'm not sure whether you have anything to add on to Chinese specialists,
for our students, because they speak quite a lot of English in the school environment at home, and some of them do speak Cantonese, Chinese in Hong Kong. But to do Putonghua Chinese, and as well as see less of the Chinese characters because they use so much English. Because in their leisure reading and everything, they do more English. So for that reason, I think the acquisition part is not enough time. The acquisition time is not enough for them. But IGCSE Chinese first language course actually targets to native Chinese. Yeah. But the foreign language course, Chinese course, is too lower level for them. There's nothing that actually pack at their level. Yeah. So we're pushing them towards the higher one. Yeah, which is kind of difficult to them. Yeah, in a sense. Yeah, I think that's how it is for Chinese in the case.
and that's in Cantonese or Mandarin?
Mandarin.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a language they wouldn't hear much of outside of the school. And characters used for Mandarin is the simplified one, which you don't see in Hong Kong either. So the Chinese they learn in the school is actually quite a...
It's not difficult in the sense of like daily compositions for them. They're kind of like fluent and accurate in pronunciation and all that. It's not an issue for them. I think the main issue with them is the Chinese characters. They don't recognize them because they don't see them enough. Yeah, they don't read. They don't read extensively in Chinese.
And write it as well.
No,
Yeah.
They don't write.
And there's
Yes.
10,000. How many characters are there?
The commonly used Chinese characters are 3,000. Commonly used. Yeah. Commonly used Chinese characters is 3,000. But the characters does not mean.
It's not
Yeah,
learning.
so now you can see that it's difficult.
Track is relative.
Alright, that is published by the Chinese government. Like they have what do you call it, a bureau that actually works on the language usage and how it falls under the social linguistic category. Yeah. So for that it seems difficult to the students. And the characters actually don't come up with a meaning because it has to be two characters. Normally the two characters form a word that actually means something. Yeah, and as for like the words, it can come up to like 70. Because if you do the computation and all that, then you get about 70,000 words in a sense. Yeah, but you don't use so much. You don't use so much like in daily work that the students are writing.
Yeah, question.
Sorry, do they do bilingual? Do you do bilingual teachers from primary school as well? Like two bilingual teachers in class?
In the kindergarten, yes. Right, we have the Chinese and English. But the subjects taught, right, except for Chinese, and I think moral education in the primary years, all other subjects are taught in English. So Chinese is standalone. Coming back to what's easy, so at least from them and even from the parents, they will see that first language Chinese is difficult, additional math is tough for some, humanities can be a waste of time, same with art. And that's something we say no matter what, we have to do it.
That's the parents.
That's the parents. So, but the school, we sometimes have a battle with parents on that. For various reasons, they will say, oh, my child is going on to US universities. They want to look at straight A's in the transcripts. My child's not going to have that in its humanities. Can I drop that? I would want my child to drop that. We say no. Unfortunately, we will review you for the exams, all right, and we will reflect that on the transcript.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Is there a difference in gender in their scores in mathematics and science compared to the liberal arts?
Liberal arts.
Humanities.
Humanities, I'm sorry. So the scores, are they different between your boys and your girls in the areas of mathematics
We didn't
and science?
analyze that. When we look at the humanities performance, at least for IGCSE, it is still above 70% for A's and B's now. And once it goes beyond that, we will say, okay, we are happy with what we have got. Across the subject, I think the one that's demanding was our world literature. So that was last year was the first year our students took the world lit as a year ago, as an entire year ago, and the proportion of ASI is pretty low in comparison to other subjects. And that's something that the head of English mentioned is quite common in schools in Hong Kong, right? The proportion is equivalent, but we are seeing how we can actually level that up. So for history and geography and global perspectives, not much of a significant difference with the sciences. Same with IB as well. I think IB, economics are pretty strong. History, okay, coming back to IB, among the groups three humanities, a lot of them do economics, and I think they do pretty well in that, comparable to the sciences. History and IPGS are subjects that are very small in the candidature. They may be a bit slower in the average compared to the sciences. Right? Okay, so okay, our people. So that's the profile of our students. All right. We categorize Singaporeans as two groups: citizens, okay, they carry the Singapore passports. Singapore PR, permanent residents, they may carry passports from their own country. All right. So that's a proportion. Other nationalities. Now, this belies the fact that a lot of students, I think close to 99%, are actually ethnically Chinese. All right. So they may carry a British, a US, Canadian passports, but they're ethnically Chinese. That's because of the Chinese language requirement here. All right, and which we also apply in our admissions because a child must be